Jill Kirby. Jill Kirby.
I'm fed up with the lines being given by the government and joining in with the Labour talk about elites. We are being browbeaten into thinking that life will stop when we leave the EU, and it's got to be a when, not if, because we cannot control our future, we cannot control our borders. David Cameron wants to pave the way from Ankara in Turkey to Brussels so that Turkey can join the EU. 75 million people. Turkey is bordered by Syria, Iran and Iraq. Do we think that's going to improve our security situation? Do we think there is a possibility that we will know who's at large in Europe, in an enlarged Europe?
Right.
This is crazy. But the politicians who are telling us now that we can't leave Europe, only 5 minutes ago were saying, oh, they were worried about this. Theresa May's worried about it. Well, in that case, go with what you believe and we leave.
Just let me come back on what you're saying.
No, don't, Andy. I want to hear more from the audience. We must have some kind of discipline of question-answer, not everybody speaking over everybody, because then nobody can hear. The man in the blue shirt put a question. I'd like to go back to him, and maybe, Greg Clark, you would answer it, because Andy answered another one. You, sir, with the spectacles.
Yes, let's say you're looking at 3 million people coming in. Let's say it's the equivalent of building 10 cities the size of Nottingham in that time span, and all the drains on social services, health, schools, that will go with those 10 cities. How are we going to cope with doing that? Basically, it's they're economic migrants coming in from Europe, and they're going to be a massive drain on our resources.
You're the community's minister or secretary of state. So what's your answer?
Two things I'd say. I mean, first of all, as part of the negotiation, we have for the first time the ability to require people to contribute to the benefit system before they can draw out. That is a very significant change. The second thing goes to the point that the lady made earlier about many people working, coming from Eastern Europe to do jobs that other people from this country haven't been doing. Actually, what we've had is the introduction of the national living wage, and the increased pay can help make those jobs more attractive for people here that haven't been doing them in the past. But there's a question I think that needs to be answered by Jill and Paul. If we do leave the European Union, what are we going to do? Are we going to require visas for people from Spain and France to come into this country? Is that the plan?
You know perfectly well we won't need... if we don't choose to ask a visa, we won't. But I think I'd like to see... I think there are a good many countries who should have to...
Paul, you take this one, please, because Jill's answered several.
We can either choose to ask them to have visas or not choose.
But what is the proposal?
It doesn't need
to have some clarity.
It doesn't need to be a proposal. It'll be part of the negotiation.
We need to know what it would be like if we left. Which countries do you want to, within the European Union, prevent people from coming? Is it France? Is it Spain? Which ones?
It's not a matter of countries, Greg. It's a matter of whether the people have skills that we need and that we want to make space for here because they will bring something to this country that we can't provide at home. So there will, and you know, other civilised countries can operate such systems perfectly well. We simply don't have the choice at the moment, and we can't get the choice.
I want to go back to our audience now. We've heard from a number of people worried about immigration and presumably also voting Brexit because of it. I'd like to hear, because I know you're fairly evenly divided, from people who'd like us to remain and see. Oh, if your hands go down. All right, you, sir, there. No, the man in pale blue behind you, yes. I'm
undecided on the remain or leave, over whether we should leave. But I just want to refer back to Jill's point about the 75 million Turks coming to the UK. That's it's a scaremongering, saying that 75 million people are going to come here. That's not going to happen. And for Turkey to join the EU, they've got to fulfil, I think, 20 conditions. And the reality is they only fulfil 3 of them at the moment. So for them to join the EU, it's a long, long way off. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
And you here, no.
I think as an African who's got a mobile phone to phone his relatives about the good life here, I think it's an offense. It's a very offensive remark that has been used by the gentleman in the far corner there. I think as a migrant, life is not easy in the UK. I think the misconception that we hear all the time when we're in the streets or when we talk to people, that we are here for the benefits, we are here for that. We are all here, or we move around the world to better our lives. That's the bottom line about immigration. Everyone moves where they can see they can make a better life for themselves. So the whole EU referendum for me or for my colleagues, other immigrants, is a referendum on immigration. Because if the numbers are were not shown to be as big as they are, I don't think we'll be having the EU referendum.
What is your own, just if I may, your story? When did you come to Britain? And
I think the personal story will be for another day, but I think
all right.
the issue is there is a misconception.
I don't know what remark you're referring to, but I presume it's the earlier remark about the large-scale migration.
Because
it was about everybody having mobile telephones.
Yeah,
and saying,
brought in by mobile phones. Well, there's a lot of that goes on. So there are two issues that are being conflated here. There are two issues that are being conflated. One is the large-scale migration that is now starting, which is a kind of economic phenomenon, and the other is the refugees linked to Syria and the Middle East, and they're very different issues. So in my remarks, I was referring to the risk of large-scale economic migration.
All migration is economic migration.
No, it's not all.
No, let me explain. Let me explain. Wars disrupt economic activity and livelihoods. So when that happens, people move to places where they're safe to continue their lives.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you this because I'm an immigrant. So you are not a migrant. You can tell me what people move up. As a migrant, what life is about. So at the end of the day, I think there needs to be factual arguments in regards to these issues.
We've only got 6 or 7 minutes left. Just one point about the economy. Greg Clark, will we be better off, richer as a society? Will people be richer if we stay?
Yes, we will, and you just need to look at all of the respected commentators, from the governor of the Bank of England to the OECD, to the leaders of our trading partners right across the world, not just in Europe,
this your strongest
but right
argument
around
for voting in?
the world. I think it is very clear from everyone that
like Mark
has commented on this that we would lose our access to markets and prosperity if we were to take this big risk of leaving the EU.
And Jill, would we be better off or not?
The OECD is funded by the EU. Nobody knows what growth is going to be in the next quarter, let alone 15 years ahead.
What's your opinion?
Nobody can forecast.
Nobody knows. So
I think we should be...
Do you Brexit with your fingers crossed, in effect?
I think we will be better off because we will be free to make decisions which are in our own interests as a strong world power.
Jill says it as though...
And we won't be handing over £350 million every week to an unaccountable, undemocratic, elitist
Jill says it as though we'll just go... Jill says it, so we'll go back to what we were.
No, I don't want to go back anywhere. I want to go forward in freedom.
Britain's history after the war, Churchill, was about building partnership in Europe. Britain is an outward-looking nation. If we leave, who will be the happiest, Russia or America? I can tell you now, it will be Russia. The patriotic case is to stay in, to be true to Britain's past. And secondly...
David, no, hold on, not secondly. Not secondly, all right. Who shouted out rubbish? Who said rubbish? Because he can add to the point. Who said rubbish? Was you?
No.
You? OK.
Europe will trade with us whether we're in or out. That's just a rubbish argument, Andy.
No, the point I was making, I think it would lead not just to the breakup of Europe, and here's where I'll probably disagree with Alex, it would lead to the breakup of Britain as well, because there'd be a demand for a second referendum.
All right. We've got Alex Salmond here. We've got Alex Salmond here. We've got a question from David Reid. We've got 3 or 4 minutes left. David Reid, your question.
Yes. Will Brexit lead inevitably to the breakup of the United Kingdom?
Your call, Alex Salmond.
Well, I agree. We've heard it from Andy. I agree with Andy. I mean, if you had a situation where, and it looks like Scotland is going to vote very strongly in favour, but if you had a situation where Scotland was dragged out of Europe against the will of the Scottish people, then that would be a change in material circumstances that would justify another referendum. Now, you might say, oh, well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to campaign for Brexit to bring about that situation. Well, I'm not, because I believe, like Andy, that these islands' future is as a European country. And we should do that because it's the best thing. But if the cards fall, as you described, sir, then I think there would be another Scottish referendum, and this time I think that yes would win it. And one last thing, I am the last person in the world, having gone through that referendum experience 2 years ago, to have any respect for Project Fear, whether it comes from the Tory government, or Project Fear, whether it comes from the Brexiters. Whatever else you do, make up your minds not on the hideous things or the plagues of Egypt that will descend on this benighted country if it does one thing or the other. Make up your mind on principle, on whether you believe that we should share things with the other countries of Europe, or whether you believe there are advantages in doing something else. Okay. Don't believe the scaremongers on either side.
Paul Marshall. Paul Marshall.
I may not speak for all the people who are in favour of Brexit, but if Scotland did leave the United Kingdom, I regard that as a win-win from a Brexit, because
I think it's far less.
Alex is a very canny politician, and he managed to negotiate an even better subsidy for Scotland than they previously had. The Scottish people get £1,200 per person more than English people.
You don't like refugees. You don't like Scots. Is there anybody else you want to tell us?
I like everybody to stand on their own 2 feet.
You used to like Liberal Democrats,
the Scots need to stand on their own 2 feet. They have a £15 billion deficit.
Yeah. But Alex Salmond, I've always taken to be a man of his word. During the Scottish referendum campaign, Alex said, as First Minister, very clearly that this was a once-in-a-lifetime referendum in Scotland. And that people needed to bear that in mind. We knew that the government was committed to having a referendum on the EU. He didn't mention it at the time. I think that he should be consistent with the position that he took at the time in Scotland.
And during the general election of last year, my successor said it would provoke a referendum, and we won 56 out of 59.
But this, of course,
once in a lifetime.
This, of course, isn't a once-in-a-lifetime referendum, because if everybody votes in, you can have another referendum in 5 years' time or 10 years' time if you don't like the way it works out, can't you?
Well, I think it's a big decision, and
it's once in a lifetime if you vote Brexit, but if you vote in, you've got another chance.
But I want to go straight to the question. I'll firstly commend Alex on his honesty, because he gave a very honest answer there before. But I also think, for the people sitting at home watching this programme tonight, in my view, he's just given them the single biggest reason to go out and vote in. Because if you love Britain, if you love this country, if you want it to stay together, vote for it to remain in the European Union as a partnership, and vote for it so that it stays together as Britain as a partnership.
OK. Right. Little voice, my voice in my head tells me we're overrunning our hour.